Hey everyone, welcome to part 2 of the Let's Get Shifty build, featuring the Evolve Shift from Phanteks. So I got the EK8120 Fluid Gaming Kit in. Honestly, you can use whichever water cooling parts you want as long as the reservoir is tiny, short, and that you use a 120mm radiator. Now you can use EK's, I think it's the CE series, which is a little bit of, you can use a thicker radiator up to about 57 millimeters in height. Because I was able to fit a fan in here. Let me just show you right here. I got a 120 millimeter fan here on top of the reservoir, not reservoir, below the reservoir, and in between the radiator, and also got another 120 fan right underneath it, so I'm doing a push-pull configuration with this one. But honestly, if you wanted to get more radiator space, you can take the fan off, put in a thicker radiator, and you should be good. The reservoir went in here perfectly fine. You got a little bit of more room right here to get that cap off and fill it up. And then you can also dismount it with the 4 screws that are located, if you remove this panel, to easily take the reservoir out and drain it, fill it, whatever you want to do. I also routed some of the fan wires back here as well, going to the side, that way they won't be showing up too much. You can't really see, but they're like right here, tied up. Let me go ahead and rotate this around so you can see the other side. There we go. Alright, you also got the water block here, which I'm going to be running a tube from here coming down to this inlet port on the radiator. And then, alright, so my original plan was to have a 90-degree angle fitting here and here, but it looks like I'll be able to get away with just coming from putting a tube here to that 90-degree angle here without any kinking, and then putting a 90-degree angle here right here, so that I can run that tube up to the GPU block, then from there try to pass that tube through this small little gap right here, and then go into the CPU block, and then from the CPU block go back down into the inlet port. So it should work out. It's October 7th. I ordered the angle fittings in the terminal, rotary terminal for the GPU block on October 3rd. It's still in processing mode with EK's website, so I know it takes a while for them to process stuff, but normally shipping's pretty fast. That should come in October 13th according to EK's website, so maybe, hopefully by then, or before that, that way I can get those angle fittings in, that way I can finish this loop and fill it and see what happens. Because I am curious about the amount of heat that's going to come into this because of the CPU and the GPU. Now, if I would have had put a 1070 in here, it might not get as hot, because the 1080 Ti gets pretty hot, especially when overclocked, but that's why I'm eliminating overclocking variables with this system. I'm just going to run it at stock and see what happens. Now, I've been able to get away with a 1.180 volt on the CPU at 4.1 gigahertz, so maybe I can try to push it a little bit more and see how much power I can give to it without it getting too hot. If not, I'll just set it back to stock, but I also need to check and see if it is going to climb back up to that 1.325 volts if I leave it at stock with it. If not, I can just do that manual overclock. That way a lot of power won't, that way the chip won't get so damn hot. But yeah, other than that, I kind of wish the PCI riser was a little bit longer. Let me just turn this around so I can show you. So, the bracket right here, when turned the other way, it's able to come about to right about here. It doesn't go all the way back to the fan, which I would like, because then I could mount the GPU where the water block is facing out. Now, the aluminum series doesn't have like a nice, show acrylic block on the top where you can see the fluid going through. But still would be nice to show the GPU off, because then I have a clearance issue with the power supply right here where the 8-pin connectors, or the 8-pin and the 6-pin connector, are really squashed up against this. I can't put nothing there. I don't know why Phanteks didn't just give a longer cable for this system. Alright, so let's talk about the case fans. You obviously know that they're the Corsair HD 140s and 120s. You're probably wondering, where the hell did you put the lighting node and also the RGB fan plug thing? The lighting node Pro is like up here behind the motherboard, just glued there. And the RGB fan controller is over here. Well, I didn't put the fan speed controller, I just needed the module where the RGB lights connect to. And it ended up working out just fine because I had enough room behind the 24-pin cable just to stick that little module in there to power it, and then run the cable up through the side on this end and plug it into the Lighting Node Pro. So I just have to configure them because RGBs are configured. I just got to configure the fans. Another thing you might notice too about the ROG Strix Z270i board, it doesn't have a USB 2.0 header on it. So I went ahead and I got this 10-foot USB 2.0 to female in, male out, so I can connect this to my motherboard on my main ATX system and use Corsair Link on there to modify the RGB profiles, because that's the way that I got the RGB lights to work in the first place. And so far I haven't had an issue with them going out when I unplug it for an extended period of time. When I plug that power back into the power supply and I turn the system on, the RGB lights work fine. Haven't had any issues there. So that's the only method that I know of that will work. Alrighty guys, I'm gonna shut up and I'm gonna let you watch the footage of me just putting this together, putting those fittings on there and then the tubing and then filling it up and just getting you some nice B-roll shots. So I hope you enjoy. Alright, so I hope you enjoyed that montage, whatever you want to call it. Let's talk about temperatures, because this is an interesting one. The GPU at stock settings only reached 69 degrees Celsius. The CPU, on the other hand, that one varied, because running Heaven Benchmark, the hottest core was 84C. Going into Crysis 3, 91C on the hottest core, but it was for a brief moment, and it went back down into like the mid 70s. Playing Overwatch, 72C on the CPU and 69C on the GPU, same results. It's pretty interesting while it wasn't overclocked. Now, I might have to delit the 6700K just to get the thermals down, because the stock Intel thermal paste that they use, whatever, sucks. Obviously, everyone knows this. So, have to do that in a future video. Also, I couldn't keep the 1080 Ti in the system, so I had to drain the loop and put the card back into my, editing rig so I can get this video done. Because I only have one card, and trying to buy a GPU in this market right now is ridiculous. But I was able to find a 1070, so I'm just gonna get a 1070, just throw it in there and just play with that, play around with that, because it seems more reasonable for that tiny little system. Because it's honestly a home theater PC. I don't need a 1080 Ti in there. 1070 will work out fine. So I'll just have to order another water block from EK. Speaking of, it took about 11 days to get that order processed, those angle fittings in that rotary terminal, and then 3 days to get it shipped to my house. So yeah, 14 days total. Let me know what you think about that blue, navy blue coolant, if that kind of went with it. I don't know, I might do the clear one or maybe a different color. I kind of wish I could use the a pastel coolant or something like that new Primo Chill View that's coming out, but I don't think that plays nicely with aluminum components. So yeah, we'll have to see. But anyways, that's going to do it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll upload another video whenever I get the rest of the more fittings, another water block, and that 1070 in there, just to see if the temperatures change or not, and also deleting the 6700K, see if I get the temperatures down on that thing, and see where we can go from there. And one more thing too, if you guys do this with a copper-based components instead of the aluminum kit that I use from EK, go ahead and stick a thicker radiator in there, because that's really going to help you with cooling. Even though temperatures weren't crazy and unreasonable, a thicker radiator will help you out in there. But yeah, that's about it. That's all I got to say. Hope you guys enjoy the rest of your night, day, or evening, or whatever it is. See you in the next one.